Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get away with hurting others, while kind people sometimes suffer for no obvious reason? Someone lies, manipulates, or betrays another person, and nothing seems to happen to them. Meanwhile, someone who tries to do the right thing faces one problem after another, so you start wondering, does karma actually exist? Does the universe really keep a record of everything we do? And if karma is real, why doesn't everyone immediately receive the consequences of their actions? The idea of karma has fascinated humanity for thousands of years, but karma isn't simply, do something bad and something bad will happen to you tomorrow. Its deeper meaning is about actions, intentions, consequences, and the patterns we create through the way we live. Today, let's explore the psychology and philosophy behind the law of karma, and perhaps see it in a completely different way. The word karma comes from an ancient Sanskrit root meaning action or deed. In Indian philosophical traditions, karma is connected with the idea that intentional actions have consequences. But karma is often misunderstood. It isn't necessarily a cosmic punishment system. It's not simply, you did something bad, so the universe will punish you. Instead, karma can be understood as a relationship between what we do and what those actions create. Our actions affect other people. They affect our habits, they affect our character, and eventually they can affect the direction of our lives. Think about anger. If you repeatedly react to every situation with anger, you aren't just affecting other people. You're also strengthening the habit of anger within yourself. The action becomes a pattern. The pattern becomes part of your character, and your character influences your future choices. In this sense, karma isn't only about what happens to you, it's also about what your actions gradually turn you into. One of the most interesting ideas about karma is that intention matters. Imagine two people helping someone. One genuinely wants to help, the other helps only because they want praise. The action looks identical from the outside, but internally the motivation is completely different. This is why many philosophical traditions distinguish between the action itself and the intention behind it. Your intentions influence your mindset influences your behavior, and repeated behavior shapes your character. So karma isn't simply asking, what did you do? It can also ask, why did you do it? Were you helping because you cared? Were you lying because you were afraid? Were you being kind because you wanted something in return? Understanding your intention can reveal much more about your actions than the action alone. Here's the question almost everyone asks. If karma is real, why don't bad people get punished immediately? Because consequences don't always arrive instantly. Think about a seed. You plant it today. You don't see a tree tomorrow. Some consequences work the same way. A person who constantly lies may eventually lose people's trust. A person who treats everyone with disrespect may eventually find themselves surrounded by people who don't respect them. A person who continuously avoids responsibility may eventually create problems they can no longer escape. These consequences may not look supernatural. They can simply emerge from patterns. And that's why karma is sometimes better understood as a long process rather than an instant transaction. Imagine dropping a stone into a completely still lake. The stone disappears, but the water doesn't remain unchanged. Ripples spread outward. Human actions can work in similar ways. One cruel sentence can stay in someone's mind for years. One act of kindness can change someone's entire day. One teacher's encouragement can influence a student's future. One betrayal can change how someone trusts others. Your actions rarely stop with you. They move through relationships. They influence other people's behavior, and sometimes those people influence others. That's the ripple effect. You may never know how far a single action travels. Even without viewing karma as a supernatural force, there is a fascinating psychological side to it. Your repeated actions train your brain. If you constantly criticize yourself, self-criticism becomes easier. If you practice patience, patience becomes more familiar. If you constantly react impulsively, Impulsive reactions become habitual. In other words, what you repeatedly do becomes easier to do again. This creates a kind of personal cycle. Your behavior influences your habits. Your habits influence your personality. Your personality influences your decisions. And your decisions create new circumstances. So sometimes, the karma you're experiencing isn't something happening to you. It's something your repeated behavior is helping create. But there's an important warning. Karma should never be used to blame people for their suffering. If someone experiences illness, poverty, abuse, loss, or tragedy, saying they must have done something in a past life can be deeply harmful. We don't have a reliable way to know that. Real life is complicated. People experience circumstances they did not choose. Bad things can happen to good people. Good things can happen to people who have behaved badly. So karma should not become an excuse for judging someone's suffering. Instead, a healthier interpretation is to focus on what we can control. Our intentions, our choices, our behavior, and how we respond to what happens to us. If someone hurts you, do you have to wait for karma to punish them? No. And this is where the concept becomes powerful. Sometimes we waste years thinking, one day they'll get what they deserve. Meanwhile, we're still carrying anger, still replaying the betrayal, still waiting for justice. But letting go doesn't mean saying what happened was okay. It means refusing to let another person's actions control the rest of your life. You don't have to become their judge. You don't have to become their revenge. You can simply choose to move forward. Perhaps one of the most powerful forms of karma is this: don't become the person who hurt you. If karma is connected to our actions, then the most useful question isn't, when will they get their karma? The better question is, what kind of energy and behavior am I creating through my own choices? Before you speak, pause. Before you react, think. Before you betray someone's trust, remember that trust is difficult to rebuild. Before you judge someone, remember that you don't know their entire story. And when you have the opportunity to help someone, help if you genuinely can, not because you expect a reward, but because your actions shape the person you become. You don't need to control the universe. You only need to control the choices that belong to you. Maybe karma isn't about the universe keeping a giant scoreboard of good and bad people. Maybe its deepest lesson is much simpler. Every action leaves something behind: a habit, a consequence, a memory, a relationship, a change in character, a ripple. And eventually, those things become part of the life we create. So instead of spending your time asking, when will they get their karma? Ask yourself, what am I creating with the way I live today? Because you may not control what other people do. You may not control what happens tomorrow. But you do have influence over the causes you create today. And perhaps that's the most empowering lesson of karma. You don't have to wait for the universe to change your life. You can begin with your next thought, your next choice, your next action. Because every journey begins with a cause. And every cause has the potential to create an effect. So choose your causes carefully